I want to show you something that our Foreign Minister Penny Wong said yesterday. My analysis of this was that it was the sort of thing we would expect to hear from a radical activist rather than a foreign minister, and it was intent on demonising Israel. Have a listen.
Everybody understands that there is a risk there will be no Palestine left to recognise unless the international community work together towards two states.
Gerald, there'll be no Palestine left if this doesn't happen.
These are slogans that many political leaders around the world are now adopting, and it really shows a very shallow understanding of the history of the reality. There are 4 or 5 million Palestinians, people who identify themselves as Palestinian Arabs, and it's important to understand that the term Palestine came about roughly 2,000 years ago when the Romans used that term in order to destroy or to erase the history of the Jewish people. And then it was basically rekindled by the British back in around 1917 during the Mandate period, when these were all foreign occupiers. These Palestinian Arabs, there were Palestinian Jews and Palestinian Arabs at the time. And now the world has this concept of Palestinians, of a Palestine that never existed as an independent Arab state of any kind, and they themselves don't want an independent state. What majority of Palestinians, certainly the political leaders, whether it's Hamas or whether it's Mahmoud Abbas from the PLO and from the Fatah organization, what they want to do is see the end of Israel.
Yep.
And that has been the goal since 1947. And when you have people like Penny Wong, who clearly has no depth or understanding of the history and no real interest in all the millions of people who live in this area, so she repeats these lines which are fed to her, that are echoed among many other political leaders with very similar shallow understanding, and it leads us to absolutely nowhere. It's not going to make any difference to Israelis, to Israeli government policy, still fighting a very bitter terror war. We have to remove Hamas's ability not just to have another October 7th massacre and atrocities that were so horrible. They're still firing rockets at Israel because they line Gaza, and that's the important thing to understand, the reality. Gaza still has kilometers filled with terror tunnels where hostages are being kept, where terrorists live and eat well, and where there are still hundreds, if not thousands, of rockets. And as soon as there's a ceasefire, those rockets will be aimed at Israel, because we've seen this over and over again for the last 20 years.
And
that's what people like Penny Wong and your Prime Minister need to understand, and forget all those slogans that they're fed by whether it's the Foreign Office or whether it's from international sources in the media.
They choose to remain ignorant, sadly. Thanks so much for joining us, Gerald. I appreciate it. We'll keep in touch. Gerald Steinberg there.